Welcome to Punch Talk Wrestling! On this episode, we retcon our predictions as we update our King of the Ring bracket and look towards the finals this Saturday. We run through the major storylines of the week and we give to you our review of King of the Ring 2000! I am R.W. Hellborn, the PA Rock Prince, hailing quote-unquote from Philly! And I am one half of the Crown, which is one half of your Punch Talk Wrestling Inter-Universal Tag Team Podcast Champions of the world! Now, then, and forever by my side, 3,500 miles away in London, England. He is my tag team podcast partner. He is the other half of the Crown, which is the other half of your Punch Talk Wrestling Inter-Universal Tag Team Podcast Champions of the world, Mr. Did You Know, Sir King of Reels, the proper prick, CJ Newman!
Did you know that this pay-per-view that we are reviewing today for the review, King of the Ring 2000, features... You okay there? You good? Hello?
I had to roll out of the ring and like double tap like A really fast.
So this event featured a hardcore evening gown match between Patterson and Gerald Brisco. But did you know that this match was the very last professional wrestling match of both of these men's careers?
What a way to go out.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, I thought that.
No,
I was watching that match and I was like, I've got to find out. Like, did he have any more matches after this? No, neither of them did. This was the last match either of them ever had.
You know, I was going to bring this up later in the podcast that we already recorded earlier, so it's already been brought up. But looking back at that match was so much more entertaining and actually way less cringy than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
All in all, in context, I think it's kind of great that was their last match.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could have been worse. Imagine they were sent out there to just have a normal match.
It was certainly memorable.
I mean, it still gets spoken about to this day, to be honest. It's infamous at this point.
It's the reason why this pay-per-view was way more entertaining than it should have been.
Yeah. There goes my microphone.
Oof.
But yeah, I thought that was an astounding fact, and you help you catch your breath a little bit. And how's about we talk about the last week and the King of the Ring and everything like that? How's about that?
Did you watch Raw? Did you see Raw yet?
I have seen Raw. I was going to say before we get into the pay-per-view, that's just there's not too much to talk about, I don't feel like. I guess just once again more King of the Ring action.
Yeah, let me pull my notes up here. How's about we talk about what happened? Well, we've got SmackDown.
Yeah. How's about we take a look back at this past week?
Intro.
I guess week by week we're going by with no more answers than we had before for a lot of storylines, but that's a good thing. It's not in a bad way.
Yeah.
I guess we got the whole bloodline situation going on. We've got Solo Sikoa dressing like The Weeknd. I don't know if you've seen all the memes all over Instagram about that, but he did. He dressed like The Weeknd.
Is that it? Okay? That's a thing. He looks sharp as hell. I like that they're trying some things.
Yeah, they're trying to find their own kind of identity, I guess, away from the original bloodline, I guess.
And I do like the fact that they're doing it kind of live on air too. In a very
well, you know, look at the Judgment Day when they first started. It was all like suits and whatnot, but then it slowly turned into like, you know,
bondage
whatever.
Undertaker.
Yeah, bondage Undertaker, bisexual bondage
Undertaker. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it all slowly turns. All factions do, I think. You kind of find your home of what your image is going to be.
Sure.
So.
And some of those things. The nice thing about any character. Any character doing the dip into now my character is fashionable. It's an easy play as a heel. It shows you're doing well. Business and bloodline business is doing well. And apparently is getting his directive from the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Apparently.
I don't buy it myself.
Apparently. Yeah.
I'd love it to be a double bluff turn thing here where you think that he's bullshitting and then Roman comes back and it just turns out he was the whole time.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. I think Solo hasn't said a fucking word to Roman.
There's no way of knowing.
There is literally.
There's really no way.
Keep watching. You just gotta keep watching.
And they can turn it. Because of the way they've interwoven so many things.
Yeah.
So many storylines. It's easy to just kind of pull a little thing here and there. How any of these little things can affect these guys. There's just so much going on, and it's working so well.
For sure.
Tama Tonga. Let's just talk about
heading to the semifinals. He beat LA Knight. Not something I predicted. But I'm cool. I'm very, very eager to see Randy Orton versus Tama Tonga at SmackDown.
Is that not what we predicted? I feel like
I think maybe you did. I think I said LA Knight would probably get to the final with Gunther, but I was very wrong on that.
That sounds more accurate. Me being right does sound correct.
It's so correct.
So I mean, you being wrong doesn't sound right to me. There's something off about that. I think you were still right somehow.
Man, you know what? I'm wrong every once in a while, but I'm not wrong enough times to be.
Whenever you're wrong,
too wrong.
Whenever you happen to be wrong, I'm right. And whenever in the off chance,
and we're representing the same team,
so we're still right. And anytime I happen to be incorrectly wrong, or later on,
if you're incorrectly wrong, that would mean you're right, wouldn't it?
I mean, you said it. You said it, not me.
There you go. Tama Tonga
entrance
semifinals. Theme. Oh yeah,
I wanted to talk about his entrance theme.
Yeah, go for it.
Great. This gremlin character, like, do not feed him after mid. Like,
whole him pacing backstage, making those fucking weird sounds, like that was strange.
And
but I love it.
Tama is a maniac. He's a little Tasmanian devil, and he should be pacing around the room. It's wonderful. He's just leaning in.
I'm looking forward to what God, how long ago was this? Maybe like 10 years ago. I was into New Japan back then. Maybe when like Nakamura was probably still around. Jeez.
Yeah.
So I was really into New Japan way back when, and Tama Tonga was part of the Bullet Club back then. And I loved Tama Tonga back then. He was one of my favorites in New Japan at the time.
Which means he's in his mid 30s already, right?
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
At least, yeah. Let's find out. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Tamatonga is he's 41.
Holy shit, dude! That dude's closing in on my
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, people are everybody's just taking better fucking care of themselves.
They are. I mean, look at LA Knight is the
LA Knight's like almost 50, isn't he?
No, he's not that old. But LA Knight is the torchbearer. As he's 41 as well. But this is what I mean.
Oh shit! I thought he was older than me.
You know, they're signing these guys, and you presume that they're young, or at least in their mid-30s, and then you look at their age, and they're way beyond the age you think they are. But the thing is, it's like wrestlers now. I went down a whole rabbit hole last week. Everyone's probably seen that old footage from the 80s of a wrestler slapping a reporter who's saying that wrestling's fake, right?
Yeah.
We've all seen that.
Yeah, we've all, yeah. Yep.
Well, that wrestler, I can't remember the guy's name, but I just got into a rabbit hole and I looked that guy up and his history in wrestling, and he had like a 10-year career, and he retired when he was 37 years old.
Yeah.
Like that kind of was like that was kind of a common occurrence back in the day.
Yeah,
of wrestlers retiring in their late 30s. Wrestlers now, I mean, but you know, it was a very different pace, and obviously the whole drugs and the rock and roll lifestyle was a bigger thing back then.
Yeah.
So you kind of run yourself into the ground a lot quicker, and no one really took care of themselves. So
yeah. And
you get to a point where your body would just give up on you, and you would have to stop. So,
anyway,
yeah,
back to Tamatonga and the
back to Tamatonga.
back to looking like the Weekend. Man, there's some fuel for the Patreon right there.
Yeah, right. Jesus Christ.
Hard cut and back to the actual topic.
But yeah, so we've got obviously on Raw we had Gunther beat Jey Uso. So obviously we've got Gunther's now in the final, which is great, as I think everyone expected. And on the women's side of things, we had last week on SmackDown, Bianca Belair beat Tiffany Stratton, and Nia Jax beat Jade Cargill. So, via disqualification.
Yes. Interesting turn.
Yeah.
For a couple of things. I don't want to touch on scandalous things because I don't. Because it seems it's whatever the thing was with Tiffany Stratton seems very.
I'll touch on it very quickly.
You want to touch
here
on
it is.
Okay.
Here it is, because this is all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany posted something that she didn't listen to before she posted it. She posted it. Someone must have messaged her and gone, "Have you listened to the audio on that video?" She went, "Oh shit," and she took it down. It's very simple, everyone. There isn't anything else about it, and she hasn't gotten in any trouble. And just because she lost her quarterfinal match does not mean that she's now getting punished. That's not how that shit works. It really is as simple as that.
It really is. Okay, that's true. It is true. Like this is just the reality of it. That's what happened. She shared something without listening to it, because you look at it on mute and it's like, oh, here's a clip of me, looking strong, beating on an opponent. Yeah. Pay attention to what you're sharing before you share it, and think about how other people might, and make sure you think about how other people may interpret it, because people are going to look for reasons to interpret things badly. I literally had someone who, to be fair, they get very intense with certain things, but like, who thought that was real. Like I know someone who legitimately thought that was real. Thought she was a racist and was like doing all sorts of ridiculous shit. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't sound right at all. So
there ain't nothing else to say about it. It's just whatever. Yeah. Nia Jax goes through to the semifinals. Jade Cargill, obviously her daughter was in the front row, and that caused a bit of ruckus. So Jade Cargill kind of just snapped, essentially.
I would too.
Moving on to a bit of Raw. I absolutely am well into this whole Chad Gable gimmick that we've got going on right now.
This is real well done.
Yeah, it's really starting to heat up now.
I've got here's a new bit for you.
Yeah.
Here's a new bit we can slide right into.
Sure, go
quick,
for it.
Because and we'll go. Now that I'm back on Hulu, I've got the Hulu cut again, and I hate it. But I actually listed out what was cut from the Hulu cut.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So here's what was cut. The backstage segment when we found out Sonya Deville is back.
What?
Yeah, that was cut. The backstage segment with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods being cleared, and then the altercation with Karrion Kross. The entire women's 4-way tag match was cut. Are
you kidding me?
That fucking pisses me off.
That's
fuck
awful.
Hulu cut. Yeah, fuck Hulu cut. And some of the Kayla Braxton backstage interviews were cut. That I can understand I can understand some of the backstage segments.
Yeah, because they don't have any kind of consequence to storyline.
But the actual match being cut,
that's ridiculous.
The entire match being cut, especially when there was other things that they could have cut.
Yeah.
To allow that to be in, because the match wasn't that long from what I saw. Right?
But it wasn't short either.
No,
and
but there was certainly things that could have been cut. So I'm just I want to bring that up. Because
that's ridiculous. I think that match has consequence to story. It's a number one contenders match.
It was cut so much that they cut it so much I didn't even know it happened until I watched Simon Miller's Ups and Downs.
Wow.
There was not even
about
not
the
even
whole Braun Breaker. All the Braun Breaker stuff was in there, right?
The Braun Breaker stuff was in there, which means they're obviously. But again, this shows definitively what they are and aren't pushing.
Yeah.
There was an extensive amount of Braun Breaker stuff that they could have trimmed some of that. I was very disappointed that they didn't have any of it, not even mentioned that it even happened.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That kind of blows my mind a little bit.
So.
Anyway. But yeah, that sucks. But yeah, I'm intrigued. Sonya Deville's back. I think maybe we got a little faction deal going on. Maybe with the three of them, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I can only presume that's where they're heading with that. So, Braun Breaker's insane. So there's that.
Yeah, I dig. I will say. I will say I really like what they're doing with this.
Yeah, I do. I like it.
They're 100% Adam Pearce is getting speared to hell.
Oh yeah.
This is gonna end with Adam Pearce being stretchered out at some point, which I hope then leads to the Aldis the Pearce versus Aldis,
somehow, some way.
It's such an interesting story because this is. Braun Breaker has every reason to be mad. He went to SmackDown. He was getting pushed. He basically was getting the start of his push on SmackDown from Aldis, then gets drafted to Raw, and in his eyes is doing squash matches again. Which again for casual people who may only watch Raw or may only watch SmackDown, they didn't see it. I think it's beautiful, but he's not putting him in the King of the Ring is the story of why he's so mad now, and it's great.
Yeah, and the fact that obviously on SmackDown, Carmelo Hayes got put in the tournament.
Yeah,
and he didn't, and they had just come up at the same time. It says everything you need to know. Yep. So that's interesting. But yeah, we got King of the Ring this Saturday coming, which is a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
Speaking of King of the Ring.
Yes. Oh, the only thing I mentioned
Oh,
was
you got one more thing?
I have one more thing. The only other thing that I had listed from Raw is I love Becky's new shirt. I went to WWE. I went to shop.wwe.com to look for it because she was wearing a tank top, and it's not available in a tank top. It's only a regular T-shirt. So one, I'm so fucking mad at the shop.wwe.com for that. Then guess what I found?
What?
A Cody Rhodes Finish the Story sleeveless hooded T-shirt.
No way.
You motherfuckers are putting Cody Rhodes Finish the Story shit on your sleeveless hooded T-shirts, and you're not putting literally everything else that I want.
Well, maybe
on sleeveless hooded T-shirts.
Let's look at this in this light. Maybe they're starting to bring them back, and this is the first thing they've printed on them. Maybe. Even though the story is finished.
I was ready. I was ready to just scream at WWE, shop.wwe.com to but you calmed me down because you made me think a little clearly. I don't have to scream at shop.wwe.com to so
one thing I want to bring up actually before we do move on, if you haven't downloaded the brand new DLC pack from WWE 2K24, you most certainly should, because I have.
Yeah.
And it's great because not only do you get Sandman and the Dudley Boys and Terry Funk and CM Punk, they added in a whole bunch of new shit. So
shit that they didn't tell you about? Surprise! Yeah, right. Surprise! Extra stuff that you get with the ECW Punk pack.
There is a fucking baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire.
Oh.
There is light tubes.
Yup.
And there's like doors.
And there's doors.
I think it's like a GCW kind of nod.
It's doors.
But yeah, there's because they use doors, not tables.
Yeah. You got doors.
You got doors. So it's great. And I actually spent my entire day. Here's a little challenge, right? Do this.
Okay.
I did this yesterday, and it's a lot of fun. So before we move on.
In the game, right? Not in real life.
In the game. Yeah, not in real life. Okay. No, so there's a match on there. They got 3 different types of gauntlet matches. And there's one called a Gauntlet Eliminator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that is essentially what you can do is a Royal Rumble, but someone comes out in regular intervals, but the way to eliminate them is to pin them.
Okay.
And you can do a 30-man gauntlet eliminator. So you think trying to do a Royal Rumble from number 1 is hard? Try and do a gauntlet eliminator for number 1, because I did it yesterday, and I fucking did it.
Yeah, you did.
I've done it on like normal mode.
Did you you didn't use the PTW custom Jinder Mahal modification with all scores?
No, I didn't. Yeah. But I just used one of my. I had an impromptu day off yesterday. It was great. So it was one of the rare days where I was like, I literally have nothing to do, so I made no plans.
Dude, those days are fucking wonderful, aren't they?
They're beautiful. So I was like, I went out, I got some Dunkin' Donuts, I came back.
Yeah, you got a Dunkin' Donuts there now.
Yeah, I got Dunkin' Donuts in London. How about that? Oh man, so good.
Shout out to Dunkin' Donuts London.
Yeah. Who reshared my fucking story this morning, by the way.
No shit.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Dude. Punk's Dog Wrestling everywhere, all the time in quote-unquote Philly or London. Find us at your local Dunkin' Donuts.
That's right. So yeah, try and do that. It's fun. And basically, I had the rules set, so it's Falls Count Anywhere, no disqualification, and a new person would come out every 2 minutes. And it's so hard, believe me.
Where the fuck were
we? Moving on.
Where were we? Oh! Yeah. I'm so fucking bad at improvising, man. It really am the worst at this. Before we get into our review of the King of the Ring 2000, which, oh boy, do we have...
What a show, huh?
What a show it was. To give you a little history, or should I say, to explain the history of the King of the Ring tournament, is our good friend, our special counsel, Danny the Brain. That's a suck no. Before we get this, God, I'm so bad at fucking doing
God,
these
this is brutal.
It really is, man. How about you? You try, man. You do an intro.
All right.
You intro.
Before we get started, our special counsel, Danny the Brain Bauman, has once again bestowed us with some facts, some cold hard facts, and he's cared enough to explain the King of the Ring to us. Isn't that right, RW?
That is how you intro this bit. That's so much better than the way I tried it. You are correct. So here it is, the history of the King of the Ring tournament. Danny the Brain Bauman. I still fucked it. I still can't do it.
It's Danny Brain. Care to explain? There you go.
Many IWC historians believe that the first King of the Ring was Bret Hart, winning the crown in 1993. However, there was actually an untelevised King of the Ring tournament dating back to 1985. While the first winner, who was Don Morocco, was more known for eating a Superfly splash off the top of the cage, he was actually our first King of the Ring. But what really gets interesting is when you get to 1986. Harley Race was the winner of that tournament and carried the King gimmick onto television and actually defended this like another title. This then was passed from Harley Race to Haku when Harley Race was injured. Haku then lost the kingship to Jim Duggan and eventually lost it to Randy Savage until Randy Savage was retired by the Ultimate Warrior in 1991. What makes Savage even more unique is that he was in fact a King of the Ring tournament winner in 1987, but only took on the Macho King persona when he defeated Hacksaw Jim Duggan for the kingship in 1989. Therefore, Savage was the only wrestler in history to win a tournament, but also assume the lineage of another crown. This, as many are aware, is very similar to how the Windsor family grew in power, but many won't discuss to this day the early matches between King George III and also how the fatherhood of Queen Elizabeth was determined in a Queen on a Pole match. But we'll get into those topics another time.
There you go. Put that right in there.
We've come up with this catchphrase for it, but because it doesn't logically fit into the sentence structure. I'm trying to logically make it fit, and that's where I'm fucking it up. Oh man.
All right.
So now that you know, do we want to talk about how are we going to segue this directly into it?
I guess we just kind of move on from it. We don't mention it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. King of the Ring 2000. Let me get my tab open with all my facts.
Yeah, it's already open.
June 25th, the year 2000, the day after my birthday, mind you.
Yep.
And by the way, for a good stretch of time, the King of the Ring was on or around my birthday every single year for like 5 years straight. It was great.
It's a good birthday present to have from WWF at the time.
Yeah.
Now WWE.
I believe. I'm gonna check real quick because I just kind of gotta know. No, I'm wrong. Okay. Well, shut the fuck up. How about that?
June, 98, 97 was June.
I was gonna say that the
96.
The 1998 one was on my birthday. That's it. 2001. 2001 King of the Ring was actually on my birthday, the 24th of June.
Okay.
So anyway, who gives a fuck? So Boston, Massachusetts.
I do.
Well, thanks, man.
You know?
At least someone does, right?
Oh.
in Boston, Massachusetts, at the Fleet Center, now known as the TD Garden.
Boston, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, there it is. There's 2 T's in there, and you skip them. You skip them both every time.
I feel like everyone says Massachusetts.
Yeah, they have to. They say it wrong.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
There
Massachusetts.
you go. We'll get you. We'll break you of your proper English one of these days eventually.
That is proper. That's the proper pronunciation. Anyway, 17,651 people in attendance, and with a buy rate of 475,000, which means absolutely fuck all to me.
Right. Anyway,
how about
we've got.
You give us some on-screen personnel.
We do. We've got in the English commentators table, at the English commentators table, around to the side of the English commentators table, Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. At the Spanish commentators table, Carlos Cabrera and Hugo Savinovich. Interviews by Michael Cole and Jonathan Coachman. Man, young Jonathan Coachman and young Michael Cole. We need a side by side of those 2 guys from King of the Ring 2000 to King of the Ring 2024. Announcer Howard Finkel.
Hell yeah.
You also got referees Mike Chioda, Earl Hebner, Jim Corderas, Tim White, Theodore Long, Chad Patton, who still does not have his own page on Wikipedia. Shout out to Wikipedia.
Unreal.
Support Wikipedia. Support Chad Patton and get a Chad
Support
Patton.
Chad Patton.
Support Chad Patton and get a referee Chad Patton Wikipedia page up. Somebody, anybody, and referee Jack Doan.
Jack Doan.
Jack Doan has worked for the WWE from 1991 to 2013, and I feel like Chad Patton has worked for the WWE for, pretty long period of time too. He deserves.
Yeah, and if you had a Wikipedia page, I'll tell you how long he'd been in the company.
I can't literally read off of the Wikipedia page for him to tell you anything about him because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But there you go. There it is. There's the on-screen personalities. That's what you got.
So, I just want to definitely mention for sure the wonderful year 2000 graphics for the start of this show with the swords and the clanging and all that shit.
It
was great. It was great.
It's very Dungeons and Dragons looking. It's extremely D&D looking. So I dig it. Yeah, I totally dig that.
Yeah. It's interesting. So first match, we're obviously at this King of the Ring, and just like all the King of the Rings back then, the whole 8-man tournament was held at the event. So very short matches to begin with, but we started off with Rikishi and Chris Benoit.
And it also means less people involved in the pay-per-view overall too.
Yeah.
But you're right. These are there's a lot of short matches.
Yeah.
In fact, I think all of the actual King of the Ring matches were
that super short matches.
Jesus. Yeah, they're under every single one of them was under 10 minutes. The longest one being okay, we'll get through this. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's just run
In
it
fact,
down.
to be honest with you, the only one that was over 6 was the second match. We'll get to that in a second. But in 3 minutes... Really?
Kurt Angle versus Chris Jericho
Kurt
was
Angle versus Jericho,
almost 10 minutes.
Yeah. So, Rikishi defeated Chris Benoit by disqualification in 3 minutes and 25 seconds.
And then Val Venus with Trish Stratus defeated Eddie Guerrero with Chyna in 8 minutes and 4 seconds, the second longest King of the Ring match.
I will quickly say, because I did go back and count, and it took me a while to figure it out.
Was it how many times?
When Chris Benoit attacked Rikishi with that chair, this is back in the day, and they used to do this all the time, and I'm really glad they don't do it anymore. But the timekeeper used to incessantly just ring the fucking bell.
Oh God!
As if it was gonna stop them from doing it.
Yeah.
And that bell was rang on 4 different occasions. Maybe it might have been 5 different occasions, and rang the bell 79 fucking times.
A total
of 79 bell rings. In a space of a minute, possibly.
Oh my God.
It was, and that match set me up for the whole pay-per-view, because every time I heard the bell, I was just like, shut the fuck up, stop ringing the bell.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad they don't do that anymore. That shit is annoying
it irked
as
me.
hell.
I also noticed that during the start of some of the matches, that I don't know if the fucking timekeeper knew what he was doing. Sometimes he would like forget to ring the bell. Sometimes he would ring the bell. When they ring the bell and then go ding ding ding,
and
the following contest is for da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then he'd ring the bell again, and then they'd announce, and then I don't know, and then sometimes it was just like a half-assed ring. So he would like kind of hit the bell like the first time round, it'd be kind of lazy, and the next second two it'd be kind of some more power in them.
Yeah, that's why we don't know who the ring announcer is, because they weren't doing a very good job. Baby.
Well, the timekeeper.
Not ring announcer. No. Timekeeper. Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. I'm glad that's gone. That's another
me
Attitude
too.
Era thing that is best left far in the past.
Yes, as you say, Val Venus defeated Eddie Guerrero, which I was upset about, because I was looking forward to seeing Eddie wrestle some more.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's what it is.
I don't remember how many times, but this was also we got typical Jerry the King Lawler comments.
Oh God, this pay-per-view is scattered with them. Everywhere.
Just
any match that remotely had a woman featuring in it, he was just awful. And the crowd were just as bad.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
Let's leave that where it should be left, and that's in the past.
Yeah.
You're going to hear me say this a lot of times during this review. I fucking love Crash Holly.
Oh, yeah, dude. Crash Holly was great.
Crash Holly was my favorite wrestler, like bar none, for such a long time. Yeah. I'd say such a long time. For like a year. But he was like...
I mean, that's a long time when you're, when you're 14.
That's right. I fucking loved Crash Holly. And this match, and then all the other moments he had in this pay-per-view, reminded me of how much I loved this guy. What a fucking dude. Clearly a guy that could be trusted. Like, clearly a guy that, like, Vince McMahon had a reputation, obviously, for being into bigger guys, and Crash Holly was not that. But obviously had some sort of, like, confidence in him to be letting him go 2 rounds in the King of the Ring, and then having another moment later in the pay-per-view. And then he was always used on every Raw and every SmackDown, like 3 or 4 times in the night. So I fucking love this dude.
Yeah, man.
Crash Holly beats Bull Buchanan in 4 minutes and 7 seconds. Who knows what Bull Buchanan is doing these days? But last quarterfinal match was Kurt Angle versus Chris Jericho, which is probably the best match of the whole tournament, I'd probably say.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, what do you expect? It's Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good match. I really enjoyed that one. Let's see. Let's not forget, in between all of these matches, we've got scattered bullshit happening backstage with the whole McMahon family and Linda McMahon and Vince.
Let's forget.
All that was going on. That was all scattered around. We had Vince talking to Linda like absolute shit, to which I questioned, in storyline here, forget everything else, in storyline, why weren't they divorced? Why were they still married? It didn't make any sense to me.
I don't even remember the heelish justification for why he was being such an asshole.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he just was a smarmy asshole, or It had to have had some. I'm guessing it had to have had something with either Steph or either Linda somehow favoring The Rock or being against Triple H.
Well,
maybe we get Danny the Brain. Maybe we can get Danny the Brain on this too in between.
Yeah. Well, this
or
this whole McMahon Helmsley story was so fucking confused. It started off quite simply. But then it's just like, it doesn't make any sense how...
It got so convoluted. It got so messy.
Let's put it this way. This isn't June, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's not forget, because we've covered this on the pod, let's not forget, at the end of the year in 1999, we had Vince McMahon versus Triple H in a no disqualification match.
Yeah.
And like he beat Vince to a bloody pulp, then took his daughter, in which he drunkenly got married to.
Right,
so,
which again, then she had, and turns out she was in on it all along.
Yeah, so
6 months previously.
Yeah, and then now, go 6 months later, he's in the same faction with them.
Yeah.
Tagging with them. I don't know how we got from A to B in 6 months, but that's pretty wild if you ask me.
Yeah, man. It was really, I'll be honest, it was really hard to watch this whole pay-per-view for me. Like, it was just... It
was a tricky one. There's just...
yeah.
But there were
anyway,
a few highlights. We had Kurt Angle, just going back to that match real quick.
Yeah. The match was fucking great.
The match is great, but before the match, he got on the mic and he said, he did an impression of people from Boston. He said, "It's true, or as you guys would say, it's true. I'm fat. I'm unemployed. Get me another beer." Which I thought was quite funny. And then Jericho called him Kirk Angel, and that just fucking made me laugh so much because I thought that was great.
Yeah, Kurt Angle, much better on the mic, much better at improvising on the mic than I am.
Yeah. Then up next we had a Fatal 4-Way tag match, which I actually really, really liked.
Yeah, this was a good match.
Probably the best match of the night. I thought it just had good flow and like all the tag teams were really over, and it showed you, maybe not TNA. You know what's crazy? This is kind of nuts. TNA, T&A. I should probably pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
It's only last night when I was watching this pay-per-view that I realized that T&A was a fucking reference to tits and ass.
Wow. For real?
Like, it went over my head for the last 25 years.
Well, I mean, how old were you? How old were you when this is 2000? So how old were you 24 years ago?
11 years old. Yeah, 11 years old.
See?
Yeah, okay, no, at the time I get that, but
Yep.
I've definitely seen and referenced and spoken about T&A many, many a time since then, and it was only last night that it dawned on me.
Yeah, because you don't think that way normally.
I guess so, yeah. So that's what that meant. But this match was great. I really enjoyed it. Scotty 2 Hotty did the worm, and I loved it. We had a 5-second pose doing a baseball reference that I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. So that was wonderful.
That was the thing.
But yeah, I thought it was really fun. I reckon it was like probably the best match of the night, I'd say. I fucking enjoyed it. It was like 14 minutes, 11 seconds.
14 minutes. It was 14 minutes and 11 seconds exactly. You're right.
Yeah, there you go.
I definitely give that certainly top 3 matches of the night.
Yeah. It wasn't difficult to be a good match in this pay-per-view.
Right. Yeah.
You really had to just put half a shift in and you would have put in a good match.
Yeah.
Not to be too mean. Next up, we had King of the Ring semifinal start, and we had Rikishi versus Val Venus.
Yeah.
We had a little recap to see, I don't know, Rikishi had like jumped off the stage onto Val Venus and some shit. Some crazy stuff had happened with them. One thing I did remember about this, not about this match, but about their feuds. Their feud kind of started around this time. They ended up facing each other at the next pay-per-view, Fully Loaded, in a cage match, And this is where Rikishi jumped off the cage like Superfly, Jimmy Snuka style, onto
shit.
Val Venus. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sticks with me. I don't know why, but it's such a moment that no one ever speaks about. But
Didn't Rikishi?
it's wild.
Let's speak. Well, let's give him. Yeah, let's speak about it. How's about we talk about Rikishi jumping off the steel cage on the Val Venus?
Yeah.
It was
wild.
It was wild. All right, there you go.
Yeah, it was wild. It was great.
Yeah.
Go watch that shit if you haven't. But yeah, Rikishi beats Val Venus. There we had a little backstage interview with Crash Holly where I've once again in my notes put I fucking love Crash Holly. Then we had the funniest moment of the entire night. You know what that was?
No.
It was Jonathan Coachman telling Gerald Brisco that revenge is not an emotion.
I don't know, man. I feel like I might disagree with that a little bit.
He said, I don't know, Brisco was like saying that Pat Patterson made him feel many emotions, and then he spoke about revenge, and then Coachman was just like, revenge is an emotion, and it was dumb, and it really caught me off guard. I didn't expect Coachman to just backchat Brisco like that, but he did, so... real quick, we had a WWF.com relaunch ad. They were relaunching WWF.com on June 25th, 2000, I believe it was, maybe. Something like that. That was an ad. The ad was weird. It was someone being launched out of a cannon, and there was a woman on a couch, like, eating food or something.
Okay.
And she, like, busts through her, like, wall or a window or something, and his head lands in her crotch. And that was the ad.
Well, I mean, the Dudley Boys were.
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll
get to that. We'll get to that. There's something we got to talk about later, and it was fucked up.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that. I either honestly tuned it out, or I was in the other room, or it might have been Peacock might have thrown a commercial in there. I don't know if Peacock cuts things when they throw a commercial in or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I certainly don't remember. It certainly didn't retain in my brain.
Yeah. Don't worry. You didn't miss out much. Out comes Crash Holly for him versus Kurt. I once again put in my notes, I fucking love Crash Holly. Because I do. The start of this match... the first minute or two of this match was probably the best 2 minutes of professional wrestling in this entire pay-per-view. Kurt and Crash were like fucking going at it.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was so good. So there's that.
Yeah. He was. I mean, Crash was. Crash was so over.
Great. Yeah. I know he was like seen as a hardcore wrestler because of more of a comedy wrestler, but he was great in the ring, man. He was a great wrestler.
The beauty of he was one of those guys in a position where he's always credible enough to give you a good run for your money.
Yeah.
He was never used as a guy that got squashed. He got some wins. He got some, he might have been he was the underdog. I kind of feel like he had a very Sami Zayn's got a very Crash Holly vibe.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, I get that. I get what you mean there.
Yeah, I like Crash Holly too.
So obviously Kurt Angle goes on to win that match, and we move on. We had Kane hanging out in a dark part of the arena being interviewed because that's what Kane does.
That is what he did at that time.
Yeah, well, always. And then until he was corporate Kane, then he hung out in offices.
If they got an interview with him, it was always somewhere lurking in the boiler room.
Yeah,
or
I don't know where this was, but it was like
they found him in a. They would always interview the Undertaker in a graveyard.
Yeah. Then we had the rivalry review, the best video package I've ever seen for the Patterson and Brisco match.
Yeah, I mean they did put a good amount of work into
the video package.
Yeah,
they really did.
As crass and maybe cringy weirdly looking back at this now, I almost feel like this is a match that is actually much better than I remember. This match was better than I remember it be. Everything about this was better than I remember it being.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think I did watch this and I was like, what is going on? But I didn't want to like turn it off. I was like, this is so stupid.
I mean, but you know why? Because they both went 100% in on it.
Yeah, they were all in. They were
all in on it. So I'm like, whatever, man. I don't know how we got here. I don't remember how we got to them getting to an evening gown dress. Doesn't matter. You got there. Yeah. They both got to have a good little run with a fun storyline.
Yeah, with the Hardcore Championship being involved and stuff. It was,
as far as I know, they both enjoyed. Like neither one of them. It seems
like it really did seem like they did, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I have no idea, by the way, why Jay Briscoe came out to Hulk Hogan's theme.
No clue why.
Random as fuck.
Yeah.
Patterson looked like Dolly Parton. Just saying.
Yeah.
It was. You know what? Like, of all the things on this pay-per-view, I didn't expect this to be one of the least cringier things that I watched, because I didn't actually cringe. Right. I didn't cringe at it. I was just like, this is wild.
No, I cringed. But when we first rolled for this, audibly cringing at the sight of it, and then I'm like, no, actually, this kind of was like one of my favorite matches of the night.
Yeah, it was just dumb, and like, again, one last time for the whole pay-per-view, and this time it's in capitals, but I fucking love Crash Holly.
Yeah.
Obviously, he comes out, wins the Hardcore Championship, gets the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So good. And it just encapsulate this whole little segment here with this match, like, it encapsulated what the Hardcore Championship was at this time. It was done. And if you think about it, it's kind of like the whole R-Truth Drake Maverick stuff that was going on with the 24/7 championship. That stuff was so good, man.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was so much fun.
Holy shit, dude. I forgot about Drake Maverick and R-Truth.
Yeah, that stuff was like,
shit.
They got to a point where people were like really looking forward to seeing what they do next week on Raw, right? Because it was getting so crazy.
Wasn't it? R-Truth pinned him at his own wedding, didn't he?
He did, and literally his actual wedding.
His actual wedding, yeah. They see that again. They really, really, really went all in. Like, and that, looking back at it, that's really, like, that's one of the highlights. It really is. This is the highlight match of that. It may have just made it into my match of the night. This is the bit best. Hashtag bit best.
Bit best,
Throw it out. Classic PTW hashtag. This is the bit best of, you know. And there it is. Crash Holly, your Hardcore champion.
For the God knows how many times that was.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Next up, we had the dumpster table match between the Dudley Boys and DX with, it was actually Road Dogg, X-Pac, and Tori versus Devon and Bubba Ray.
For some reason, for reasons which, if you know, tell us in the comments below. I mean, there's no comments on the
I think podcast, it was because...
Tell us in comments.
Because they had put Tori through a table, and then at some point, I think the McMahon-Helmsley regime put the Dudley Boys through a table, and Tori jumped off the top rope and put Bubba Ray or something through it.
So somehow...
she got herself involved somehow.
Got herself involved.
But, you know...
Hey, man, Tori was pretty tough. Tori was real tough. She...
Yeah.
You know?
This was a fun little match. Cool, you know, like...
Yeah.
Weird gimmick match with the dumpster and everything. And there was some cool hardcore sparks. We had the power bomb through the two tables. And
why was it Road Dogg and X-Pac?
Billy Gunn was injured at the time.
Okay.
He had, I think he had shoulder surgery. Yeah. But they had, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they wrote him off in the weirdest fashion in the sense that they just randomly one week just kicked Billy Gunn out of DX. So
Okay.
And then he went off to have surgery, and then he come back as the one Billy Gunn.
Okay.
Yeah, so that happened.
Oh, yeah, he did come back, like, on his own for a minute, and then...
Yeah, because then he was Badass Billy Gunn again, but then he got in the rivalry with Right to Censor, and they didn't like his name. So then he had a match, and if he lost, he'd have to get rid of the badass part.
Yeah.
And then he called himself the one Billy Gunn. And then we had Billy and Chuck, and the rest is history.
Right.
And then, swiftly moving on to the final of the King of the Ring. Honestly, extremely uneventful.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle beats Rikishi. I mean, Rikishi's arm is absolutely fucked from Val Venus focusing on it earlier in the event, which we hadn't spoken about, but he did.
Yeah.
It was actually literally bruised if you saw his arm.
This was to keep a little bit of like safety on Rikishi in the fact that like Kurt Angle beat him, yeah, but he wasn't 100%.
Yeah, and he was the Intercontinental Champion at the time as well. So
they had to keep him strong by making him look injured.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I get, I get it. That's but that's a classic thing that for some reason some people don't get, and maybe it's because they're just newer to it. Like, yeah, that's one of the things I see getting criticized the most when you see somebody like that lose, and it's like, he's not being hurt. I mean, they're not hurting him by making him seem hurt. You know, it's why I always question every injury until like it's verified that like, oh no, they had to get surgery or like for real, because anything could be an injury angle. Like from my perspective, because I don't look at anything and I never see it, I don't know. I can't even tell you if Rhea Ripley is legitimately injured or not, because all I know is what was displayed on TV.
Yeah.
So from a realistic perspective, I have no idea if she's actually really injured.
Yeah.
Maybe she is. But because I don't worry myself with that, I don't, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with
that. So Kurt Angle wins the King of the Ring. This is obviously the initial start of like pushing Kurt Angle into the main event scene. I think later through this pay-per-view, in fact, the night after on Raw, he started inserting himself into the WWE Championship picture, and was in a number one contenders match the night after in a triple threat, which he lost, but he would go on to win the WWF Championship at No Mercy in 2000 later that year. So this was the start of pushing him as a main event talent. Same with Rikishi as well, because Rikishi was kind of a mid-carder at this time, and I think this was a start of him being pushed into that main event scene as well, even though he never won the WWF Championship. I think during 2000 and 2001 they really tried to push him as a main eventer, so obviously being the guy that ran over Stone Cold, so that was the thing. And then we move on to the main event, which, I mean, apart from everyone looking cool as fuck during their entrance, apart from the McMahons, there's not much to write home about here.
I mean, I would even say Shane McMahon looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Shane McMahon was relative. I think this was also the beginning of Shane McMahon as a semi-active.
This is probably definitely his fifth or sixth match.
Yeah, early on. So which makes sense why he's being protected by his dad and his now real life brother-in-law, but like. This is giving Shane McMahon some real ring experience from that perspective, but it's also, how do we shove all these people into one match?
This is his ninth match.
And make it the most, and make it something. This is we make some crazy stipulation and make some crazy kind of match for the sake of making crazy stipulation and crazy kind of match.
This was Shane's third. This is actually Shane's 34th match.
Oh fuck! Okay.
Yeah,
well, maybe that's why it looks good.
looked into that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, no, this was for the champion. Obviously, it came to a head in the end when The Rock went to go for a pin, and then Kane got involved, and then obviously Kane went for the pin, and Undertaker got involved. But then Undertaker did that massive choke slam, which was probably the highlight of the match. The choke slam from the top rope through the table. That was nuts. And then obviously The Rock wins the championship by pinning Vince McMahon. And obviously Undertaker doesn't get involved, and he does look back at The Rock when he gets on his bike and says, "You owe me one, you son of a bitch," basically.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, it was one of the weaker pay-per-views we've watched.
Yeah, I mean, looking back looking back at Kevin Petonja's of 411 Mania's review in 2018 of 2.5, I can see why someone would rate it that poorly. That's a 2.5, but I'm not sure what his rating system is. Is that a 2.5 out of 5 stars? Is that a 2.5 out of 10?
I'm gonna say out of 10 because it says very bad in brackets.
Yeah, so it's got to be 2.5 out of 10, which would mean that would be a 5. That would be an actual solid 5 for us. But is it really that bad?
I think I know what I'm giving it.
Yeah, I think I know what I'm giving it as well.
All right. In 3, we're both going to say our number, okay?
Okay.
All right. In 3, 2, 1,
7.
9. Okay.
All right. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
7
I'm giving it a 9. I don't think it's just... you know what? Fuck it. It's 7. You're right. Just because...
Yeah.
because 9's too close to like...
You want to give it a 9 because you fucking love... Crash Holly.
I fucking love Crash Holly, yeah.
I mean, and you did get to see him three times.
4, technically 4 with his backstage interviews.
Yeah.
So I got to see a lot of Crash Holly, and I'm happy with that. But you're right. It was a 7, and this is history right here. This is the worst rated pay-per-view that we've done in this whole podcast.
Yep.
I mean, when Kevin Pantoja of 411 Mania said that it would fit right in with the WCW 2000 pay-per-view, he weren't fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And it's so weird to think that this is a weird time in wrestling where Raw and SmackDown was classically way better than pay-per-views. Pay-per-views tended to end up being kind of shit.
Yeah, because you're and it's probably because of the expectation of a bigger payoff, like should have been, could have been better, Yeah,
and it's the King of the Ring. It's the King of the Ring event, and the final isn't the main event, and it got given less than 6 minutes.
Yeah, and I also think this is let's look at when did they stop having it all in one night? Because I think that eventually. It might have been interesting once or twice, but I think that led to, okay, well, I've seen Rikishi 3 times now.
So yeah, it'd be 2002 was the last time.
Yeah.
2002 would have marked the 10th one.
Okay.
And then
it goes away for a while, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then actually saying that.
Yeah, because
2002 which is the year that Brock Lesnar won. It was just the semifinals and the final.
Yeah, so there was only 2. You only had him in 2 matches that night.
So there were 3 King of the Ring matches in 2001. Yeah. We had the same. So this was the last year of doing 8 in one night. This was the very last year of doing it, year 2000. One last little fact on the pay-per-view we just watched. There are of everyone that featured on this show, there are 22 people on this show that have since went on since that event to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
What?
Yeah, 22 superstars, wrestlers, and on-screen talents. So obviously got Howard Finkel and Jerry the King Lawler and JR and Teddy Long is one of them as well,
Oh, right.
and obviously, multiple wrestlers. We had Mick Foley and Ivory at WWF World in New York. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did. We did have that.
Yeah, so, I mean...
Because
yeah,
WWE New York was a thing at the time.
I think that's definitely something I'm going to do from now on is when we watch these old pay-per-views, is do a little Hall of Fame count up. So for this pay-per-view, it's 22. 22 future Hall of Famers were on this show.
All right.
There you go.
Well,
How about that?
that's a lot better than the rating.
Yeah. This certainly didn't get a 22, that's for sure.
No, it did not.
But yeah, that's
King of the
That's
Ring.
everything.
Yeah, that's King of the Ring 2000. Well, next week's obviously going to be our review of this year's King of the Ring.
that's right.
Looking forward to finding out who exactly is going to be in the finals
Yeah.
for SmackDown, because that's happening.
I mean,
on
real
Friday.
quick here. We could do this super quick and just give me top of the head answers.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, we haven't got a final yet. But Gunther versus Randy Orton or Tama Tonga. Who you got picking for that?
I think it's gonna be Gunther versus it's gonna be Gunther beating Randy Orton.
Cool. That's also my guess. Then we got Lyra Valkeria versus Nia Jax or Bianca Belair. Who are you going for?
This one is tough.
Yeah.
This one is legitimately difficult.
I could see it going
You know
any
what
which
though?
way.
Well, before I tell you my decision, how's about we play our interview with Lyra Valkeria from the WWE press junket event? Hi Lyra, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's R.W. Hellborn back here from Punk's Talk Wrestling, and I'm here with the NXT Women's Champion, Lyra Valkeria. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right, a couple quick fire questions for you. Do you have any pre or post match rituals that you do?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay. That's an easy answer. If you could come out to any WWE Legends entrance, what would it be? One night only.
I suppose Cody's music is the best right now.
Yeah, awesome. Cheesecakes or cheesesteaks?
Cheesecakes.
All right.
Big cheese.
What was the first album that you remember buying as a kid?
Fall in Evanescence.
Wonderful. Do you have a favorite punk or rock and roll band?
Cool. Bowling for Soup. Rock and Roll Love Scorpions.
Oh, wonderful. Butter or jelly on your toast?
Butter.
Have you ever recreated a match in WWE 2K?
I've created myself many times. 2K.
Awesome. Before you were in it?
Yeah, long time.
If you could add a song to the 2K24 playlist, what would it be?
Any song.
Any song.
Nemo by Nightwish.
Awesome. Have you ever attempted to eat a Savage Slim Jim in one sitting?
I have not.
All right. Socks to bed, yes or no?
No.
No one said yes yet. Do you have any indie music artists that you recommend people check out? Someone under the radar?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. That's what we got for you today.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There we go. So there it is. Your Raw finalist, I guess semi-finalist winner, Lyra Valkeria.
Yeah, well, she's in the finals.
That's
so
what I mean. She's
yeah.
the semi-final. She's the Raw finalist.
Yeah, the Raw finalist. Yeah.
The Raw finalist in the finals for the Queen of the Ring tournament, Lyra Valkeria. Lovely human being. As for the match, I think Nia Jax. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this is
I'm
Nia.
going Nia Jax. Yeah.
I think we're getting Queen Nia.
Yeah.
I think it's smart. Bianca doesn't need it. She's one half of the women's tag team champions.
Yeah.
I think it's realistic for something to happen. Just the same way that I don't know how it's going to happen. There could be fallout from Nia's shit with Jade Cargill from last week that spills over and affects Bianca and causes her to lose.
Yeah.
Don't know. I expect to see her out there. I expect that. I don't know. I expect to see her out there, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're gonna get Nia. It'll be perfect for her character to be even more annoying. Like.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everything she's doing is right for her, and I think becoming the queen would just be a brilliant feather in her cap. I think she deserves it, and I think
me too.
Everybody else doesn't need it yet.
Yeah, Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan. I'm probably gonna go for. Fuck it, I'm gonna go for Liv Morgan. I think maybe this would be a good time to put that championship on her. Yeah, but I do think by the time Rhea comes back, it would make sense if Liv Morgan is champion at that time. Because that way,
I think so too.
When Rhea comes back, she'll be able to go in straight in a rivalry with Liv Morgan. Because I'd like to think by that point that Liv Morgan will have the women's championship and Dominic as well. I think it will be revealed that Dominic is with Liv Morgan.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go against my better judgment, and I'm going to put my bet on Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I think, because I just think we're in for a bit. I just think we're in for a little bit of a shock.
I should trust.
Yeah,
I'm gonna trust them more that she's ready for it, and that she doesn't actually have to rely on beating Rhea Ripley. I think I'm gonna.
Beating Becky Lynch is a pretty big.
Yeah.
It's
a pretty big.
It's Becky Lynch, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I feel like and I feel like it's perfectly reasonable for Becky to lose. I really wish they would put that new T-shirt on a fucking sleeveless hooded T-shirt for me before she loses and it gets discontinued, because sometimes every once in a while the art department really comes out with really really well done, like Gunther's new logo. Gunther's new logo is fucking great. Everything they do really good jobs with some things, and then others it's just garbage. #garbage.
Garbage. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what we got.
Cool. Intercontinental Championship: Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, Bronson Reed. I'm probably gonna go.
I think
I'm going to go Bronson Reed. I'm really going for the shockers.
I'm going Bronson Reed as well. I think the IC title, can make him a little more like it's legitimate, because the problems between Sami Zayn and Gable are going to come to fruition. I think, there's going to be some shenanigans. I think Otis might turn on Gable as what at this event, but also inadvertently still cause Sami Zayn to lose.
Yeah.
Like, they can make this as twisted and interwoven as they want. But yeah, I'm saying big Bronson Reed. Once again, our apologies when we forgot him. I feel like if that reel wasn't so good, I would say take it down and re-upload it. But man, that fucking reel's over like 65,000 at this point. Like, I don't know how we got there. Let's take a live look.
Yeah, that it stopped now. It's definitely it's taken its course, but it definitely exploded. 60,600.
Damn.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Thank you, all of our listeners, all of our viewers, all of people that like our social media posts. Shout out to, just shout out to yourselves.
Hell yeah.
We're having a lot of fun doing this, and it seems like a lot of people are starting to enjoy some of the content. If you're a listener, tell people you listen. If you're a person that likes things on Instagram and Reels, tell people you like them on Instagram and Reels. Share it at Punks Talk Wrestling. Feel free to share things to Facebook and TikTok. We've got them there. We just don't use them.
That's right. We just don't.
Yeah.
And finally, we have Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul for the undisputed WWE Championship. Obviously, it's going to be Cody Rhodes. So that's not.
Yeah.
get it twisted. But it's going to be a great fucking match. I can assure you that. That's for sure. So
I feel like they booked themselves into a corner with the tease that it was title for title, that both titles were on the line. I mean, literally the contract was that, and then he had a new contract written up. And you can't do that. Like, that's not how it actually works. Nick Aldis seems extremely annoyed. And
well, there's still one more episode of SmackDown left to go, so you never know. It may change.
I feel like I feel like in the end of it, it's a no-win situation if it's not title for title. Because Cody Rhodes is winning. Absolutely. Yeah. Logan Paul is not beating Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE championship.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great match. There's going to be points in the match where you forget that it's scripted and you think he's going to win. It's going to be good. I mean, watch it knowing that Cody Rhodes is going to win. Watch it for how he wins. Watch it for how they do it.
Well, we all kind of knew that him and AJ would be just the same, but it didn't take away from the match itself. We all knew that was going to be an incredible match.
You can't say that wasn't an exceptional match, because it was an exceptional match.
One of the best matches of the year so far. And this match will be no different. Logan Paul is fucking great. He's just great. So.
But I really feel like there's something else going on, and I think if they don't take I think not taking the title off Logan Paul, we called it before. Maybe that's why they're fucking with us. Maybe it's Triple H fucking with us.
That's right.
Because he knows we know he's tapped our lines. I feel like he's even got like insiders working on threads and Instagram, like playing into our what we think is going to happen. Because I really feel
fucking with us.
I would love to see Cody Rhodes holding both titles, and then next week's SmackDown he relinquishes the title, because the goal was to win it, but it deserves to be on its own.
I don't think if he had won it, I don't think if he wins it, he would vacate it. No? I do honestly think he'd defend both.
You think
I reckon he would defend the US title more consistently on SmackDown, and then probably defend the world title more consistently on PLE.
It very well could be. That could be part of the story that it. Well, we also called that it's very reminiscent of Seth Rollins also being the only other person to do that.
Exactly.
It would certainly be interesting but Seth Rollins is on Raw and Cody is on SmackDown, so
yeah. We'll see, I guess.
We'll see what happens. But
that's next week.
So enjoy King of the Ring this weekend.
That's right.
Tell us about what you think. We'll tell you what we think. Go back and watch King of the Ring 2000 if you want, and tell us what you think.
It's a ride. I'll give you that much.
I really can't suggest it. Like I feel like you'd be
just speed through it.
I feel like your time would be better spent watching better things. But you can if you want.
So go and watch the Evening Gown match.
Yeah, honestly, that was fun.
And go and watch the tag team Fatal 4-Way. I enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
So,
shout outs to new followers this week. Welcome to Punks Talk Wrestling. We're punks. We talk about wrestling. Once again, if you want an individual shout out on an upcoming post, simply tag us with and use the hashtag. That's GIBBYWAHIWAN. And we'll shout you out. Go to patreon.com/Punks Talk Wrestling and become a Patreon. Patron. Become a patron on our Patreon.
Good job.
Already told you about Instagram and Threads of Punks Talk Wrestling. Already told you there's Facebook and TikTok that we don't use. There's Punks Talk Wrestling YouTube channel. And you can email us at punkstalkwrestling@gmail.com for any reason at all. Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's not it. I had one more shout out from our threads. One of our threads followers, Sata Lafleur. She shared one of the posts. She actually shared one of the posts, and it was a post that I made. But she said, in the 34 years of being a fan of WWE product, this is the first time that I do not have a preference over which wrestlers win or lose the matches.
That's very true.
Right?
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
I'm so enthralled by the storyline progression and the exceptional level of their in-ring work that I know the win-loss is only to further their journey in the WWE novel. Triple H's creative is unlike anything I've ever seen, but blessed as a fan that I'm seeing it.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it was a share of when I posted, this is a perfect example of how telling Triple H to really does get you what you want.
That's so true because, like, yeah, I feel like, and that's kind of probably true for a lot of people, is because for a long time we had, it was like this, every time a pay-per-view would come around, people would be like, oh, I fucking hope so-and-so doesn't win because fuck that, why aren't they pushing this guy? Why aren't they pushing that guy? And now it's just like, everyone's over, everyone's kind of getting pushed. It doesn't really matter. No one is being quote unquote buried.
Yeah, that kind of shit doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah.
To continue on that quote, we replied back mentioning, aside from the few matches, if the outcome was completely guaranteed, like we talked about Cody versus AJ, you knew Cody was going to win, but the match was phenomenal, and it still progressed AJ's story.
Yeah.
They're making you care about who wins, but they're also making you care about why the loser loses.
Yeah.
She said, they put a lot of effort into Drew, the greatest. When she mentions the greatest, she's talking about our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Gable accepted to show that the comeback revenge is approaching. Even those injured like Rhea, Charlotte, Punk, and Seth, that has that omnipresence where we know they'll get fitted into feuds as soon as they're back that are brewing.
Exactly. Exactly.
It makes it's all interconnected, and it makes everybody matter.
Yeah. And everyone goes home happy.
So, shout out to all the positive people that love professional wrestling and love it for what love the things you love for what they are, not hating other things for what they're not.
Exactly. And now I really do think we are done.
Now I think we really are. Wait. Yeah. You're still done, right? You were done already.
But I'm already done now.
Okay. So we should end it for real.
Mm-hmm. I think we should. Not forever, till next week, but we should end it right now.
Yeah.
The end should be right here. Somewhere around here. Any one of these moments. You could have already cut it. For all I know, what I'm saying right now is not even in the podcast. But right about now, or sometime, just gone.
You won't know until post-production.
I won't know until the edits happened. But it could be now. Or now. Now could be the end.